last warm day for quite a while, or maybe even for good. So fall is approaching, fall things are happening. Everything's a little bit different this year, but things are still happening and we still need to be vigilant. We obviously have seen an uptick in the last few days, in the last couple of weeks, I guess, in our state, and then also across the country. Obviously, if you watch the national news, you get a lot of that information. But we're going to talk about what's going on in South Dakota. We've got a fantastic guest speaker tonight, and then we're going to talk about some other really interesting things that this partnership between Northeast South Dakota AHEC and our district EMT EMS group has this partnership that we've formed. We have some exciting things that are coming down the pipe that we want to share with you tonight as well. So first off, we're just going to talk a little bit about the numbers. This is current as of today. So as you can see, 66 new cases today, which brings the total to 1,513 new cases, which if you think back to about 2 weeks ago, we're probably at about 500-ish more active cases than we were 2 weeks ago, which I think was kind of expected if you looked at the national trends and some of the things that have been happening in our state. I think it was kind of expected that we were going to see this jump at this time. The big number that I always look at is that currently hospitalized number. We only have 58 people in the hospital. I say only is because that is a really good number to be at. We don't want anybody in the hospital, but 58 out of the 1,513 in the hospital, we are doing very, very well in our state with this. Our hospital capacity has always been, from day one, has always been one of the most looked at numbers. So that 58, obviously we'd like it to be 0, but 58, we're still able to hold our own very well. You're probably seeing some news today about how there was only 86 tests that were reported. There obviously are some things going on with testing. There's been some new CDC guidelines that were just brought out today that were totally politicized as soon as they came out. So what I'm seeing our Department of Health in South Dakota doing is just doing what they've been doing the entire time. They're doing a great job. There's a lot of people behind the scenes working really hard, trying to make this thing as easy to get through as possible. It's not going away anytime soon, even though there has been some therapeutic things that have been released in the last few days. A lot of that stuff is still in the testing phases, and we're in this for a little while yet. So this information right here is available on the covid.sd.gov website. It's a great website. There's a lot of new things on there, so if you haven't been on there recently, go ahead and check that stuff out. They're definitely being transparent with what's going on. This right here is just a 14-day trend, and when I snipped this out today, I got to thinking back when we had Governor Noem on our weekly call that we were doing earlier this spring. And she talked to us about what we're going to see. We're going to see these waves. If you look at this and you draw some lines, it looks like waves. So I think that's kind of where we're going to be here for a while. Is we're going to have high days, we're going to have low days. It's just going to be how it is for the near future, anyways. So what we need to do as EMS providers is we need to remain vigilant. We need to remember to wear a PPE, even though it's hot, it's bulky, everybody's tired of wearing it. We need to continue to wear our PPE. We need to continue to screen our responders and our patients to make sure that we are protecting ourselves and our patients. Wash our hands, right? Use sanitizer, use all that good stuff. Disinfect your ambulances and equipment after each run. Train on your protocols. As we get going, people might get a little bit lax with stuff. Continue to train, continue to communicate. Communication is number one with our services that you guys all are responders on, is communicate with each other, making sure everybody knows what the protocols are. One other thing that we're going to talk about here tonight is a rollout of supplemental monthly education. This has been something that Michaela and Sandy at AHEC have been working really hard on, and we have kind of decided that we're going to do this the last week of every month going forward. We did get the approval and the okay from, and the endorsement, I guess is the word I was looking for. I was struggling there for a second. We did get the endorsement from the state EMS Association to do this. So this is backed by them. They will help us broadcast this as well, so we can involve everybody from across the state in this. So what this supplemental monthly education is going to be is we're shooting for the last week of every month. And it's going to be one night. We're not exactly sure on the night yet. We're still working through some of those details. But this is going to be over core continuing education topics. They're going to be 1 hour in length. It's going to be a variety of speakers, local, regional, and national speakers. We have some national speakers who have spoke at our EMS conferences who have said that they're on board with helping us out in any way that they can. Like I said, the finishing touches are being put on this. We're looking at hopefully rolling this out for a first training session, either the last week of September or the last week of October. It kind of depends on a few things that we're working through, but it's coming. We're going to have core continuing education topics available. This is going to supplement your regular monthly meetings and the way you're getting your regular monthly training. We don't want you to just say, oh, I don't need to go to my meeting anymore because they're doing it online. We want you to continue to go to those meetings. We are just offering this as a supplemental side of things right now, since obviously everything's kind of turned upside down. If you can't get to your meetings for some reason, if you are maybe ill and you can't make your meeting, you miss your meeting, this is going to supplement it so you're able to get that education. It's also going to supplement it just for the fact that it gives you another option of free education that you can do anywhere you're at. Whether you're in your home, whether you're on a business trip, whether you're on vacation, wherever you're at. And that's the first thing that pops into everybody's mind when they're on vacation is, how do I get my EMS hours, right? That's what pops into my mind. But this is going to be available, and it's really exciting that AHEC, Northeast South Dakota AHEC, is working together with us on this to make this a reality. This is going to be, I think, a game changer in the EMS education side of things, where we can offer this as a supplemental side of things, so everybody, no matter where they are, gets the opportunity to get this training. It's going to be live. It's going to have, like I said, a variety of speakers, and we are excited to get it rolled out. So stay tuned for those updates. We will hopefully be rolling those out in the very near future. A couple of other things quickly. The South Dakota EMSA Conference, the Emergency Medical Services Association Conference this year, decided at their last meeting to go virtual, completely virtual. There are going to be some great speakers. There are going to be some great vendors. They have this online avenue for these vendors that you can connect with them. So go to sdemsa.org for more information. I did put up kind of a little bit of a flyer here. The cost is really reasonable for what you get out of this. It's $100 for the virtual conference. It starts 6 p.m. Mountain time on the 22nd, and it ends at 12 p.m. Mountain time on the 25th. So there's going to be lots of hours, lots of opportunities. So I strongly encourage you all to look at this as an option. This is going to be a great conference, I think, with all things considered, with it being virtual. I think it's still going to be a fantastic opportunity to get some really quality education from some very, very good instructors. So take a look at this, get signed up if you have not signed up yet. If you have any questions, you can contact Elizabeth on that conference contact spot, or if you have any registration questions, you can contact our state treasurer, Margaret. Her number and email are there as well. So if you have questions, I know there's been some frequently asked questions out there about, well, if we're in a small community and we all want to come up to our ambulance station and watch it all together. How do we go about doing that? Those people on that list are going to be the people to ask on how that works. Okay. We also have another exciting opportunity, the Chase the Ace fundraiser, which you guys probably saw in that email that I sent out. After our guest speaker, Michaela and Sandy from AHEC are going to unveil this exciting opportunity. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And we're going to kind of talk to you about why we are talking fundraisers. It kind of goes hand in hand with the monthly education that we're going to be putting out. And there's also some other exciting opportunities that Michaela and Sandy will talk about when our guest speaker has concluded for the evening. Our guest speaker is Nicole Sumner. She is the Director of Ancillary Services for Sanford Aberdeen Medical Center, and she's going to talk to us about a variety of things. A big thanks to Sanford again for supplying us with a fantastic speaker. They have been nothing but great to work with throughout these webinars that we've been working on and putting out there. They've always been right there willing to help out. So a big thanks to Sanford and Pam at Sanford for always answering emails and finding us speakers. So we really appreciate it. And with that, I will turn it over to Nicole.
All right. It appears that maybe my video doesn't work, but can everyone hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, apologize for the video. I'm not sure why I'm a black screen, unless you can see me and I just can't see myself.
Nope, we just got black screen.
Okay, I'm going to try one little thing here. My computer got updated to Windows 10, so potentially I could get this. Nope, I think we're going to have to do black screen. I apologize for that. My name is Nicole. Thank you for having me. I'm just going to review a few things tonight, and please jump in and ask questions or ask me to clarify anything. I'd like to be able to clarify as much as possible. But my first subject is going to be on testing, because that is a hot topic, and lab is one of the areas that I have leadership over. So that's been kind of a wild ride in COVID, but I've enjoyed every minute of it. So currently at Sanford, we have the ability to do the Cepheid rapid testing. That is kind of the point of care, but it is still PCR molecular testing. We can do that in-house in Aberdeen and at Ipswich. So that's exciting that we can do out there. We do try to conserve this for our ED patients, our inpatients, Sanford employees, but we also do this for first responders if they have an exposure, and then others upon approval. So the Cepheid, even though it is more of a point of care, has still been shown to be very reliable for asymptomatic. So we are able to use that. It's more reliable than some of the other point of care methods. We still do reference lab testing, which is our non-urgent testing sent out to Sioux Falls for processing. That continues, that is also PCR testing, so very reliable and valid. The reference lab is seeing high volumes, but their turnaround times still remain kind of at that 48-hour mark. I know they did get some additional analyzers here about a month back because they were having trouble keeping up with capacity, but they've been able to keep up with capacity since that time. And then as far as research we have going on in the lab, Sanford is participating in research to validate saliva tests for future. So that's exciting. That would be a lot easier test than the nasopharyngeal test, but currently nasopharyngeal will still be our process. We do not have that validated or that research study done. Another research study that Sanford Labs is participating in is looking at pooled testing. I know you probably see a lot in the news about kind of mass testing for sports events. The NCAA said that they would not allow return to any collegiate competition without mass testing. Now, obviously that gives people in healthcare a little bit of heartburn when we have patients who need testing, but pooled testing would hopefully in the future allow you to test kind of those big groups in a pooled manner. And then if anyone in that pool ended up being positive, you would have to retest that, but it would be a a lot more efficient way if you were going to start doing that. Now, don't get me wrong, Sanford is not saying that we're going to start testing sports teams so that people can participate. We have the patients first, but that would be an option for the future if we could get that research approved. Any questions on testing or any things that you're hearing in the community or things that I could clarify?
If anybody has any questions, just go ahead and unmute and ask, or you can ask in the chat session just like we've done in the past. Sounds like we got a quiet group so far tonight.
All right. So then I just wanted to go over a couple of the COVID specific treatments that we have available at Sanford Aberdeen, other than our traditional treatment that we always utilize for our patients. One of our newest ones is convalescent plasma. We anticipate that we'll have that capacity within the next 2 weeks. So we're kind of thinking about, a potential upsurge in sicker patients in the fall when you combine, potentially with flu season. We haven't had the need to use it up until this point, but like I said, we're proactively anticipating. We were going to be involved in the research study for doing that, but now with the new FDA approval, taking it out of research, we will just be able to give it without having to do it through research. So that frees us up a little bit. So we're excited about that adventure. Although a little bit bummed that we aren't going to get to be part of the research study, because that just would have been kind of an exciting thing. Other than that, we feel that we are well prepared to take care of any sort of oxygen needs or any sort of traditional care needs that any of our patients who would have a respiratory illness would have. We feel like we're well supplied with, high flow supplies, non-invasive and invasive ventilation measures. As far as infection control and community outreach, we have returned to all previous medical services with some modifications in place. We do preoperative COVID testing for all of our surgical patients. All of our patients who come into the facility are required to mask, and our staff is masked all the time. We use shields with patients who cannot mask, and then our COVID positive patients, we use either N95 or PAPR if they cannot mask. So we have been able to continue to see patients COVID and non-COVID. We have been able to see our COVID patients for routine outpatient or for outpatient things that they need and just keep protected and be able to do, not have them in the hospital, do their chest x-rays, their CTs, outpatient labs, and really working hard to keep those patients in the best shape that they can as they're going through that course. We've also returned to community services as far as covering sports events and school visits and home visits with the proper PPE in place. So we did kind of have a pause on those things, but our staff is really excited to be back out there in the community and covering those activities. And obviously we believe it's good for people to get back to more of a normal routine and back to those activities. Along that same lines of community outreach, I participate in task force for our partner schools to help guide their practices. We do a lot with NSU and a lot with Aberdeen School District just to make sure that we're all on the same page as there's opening up activities. Sanford also provides a school district call for both high school and collegiate level every other week. And that is anyone in the state of South Dakota can call into that. And it's more of a question answer session. We find that very helpful for all of the school districts. So if anyone has questions on that or wants to get invited to that call or has someone who wants to be invited to that call, please reach out. I am more than willing to help get you connected so that everyone has those resources to move forward. Any other questions or anything I can help you with or clarify from that information?
Excuse me, Nicole, it's Kyle here. Just a quick question on the plasma.
Yeah.
Obviously, as soon as it got announced, it got really politicized in the news, and it's unfortunate that that happened. But is there any reservation on your guys' part because it didn't go through some of the research side of things?
Sorry.
Yeah, you kind of know what I mean.
Yeah, so Sioux Falls market, Fargo market had been participating in the research study, and that was through the Mayo Clinic. So they've had a large number of patients that have gone through those clinical trials. And so we had met extensively to jump on board with that and start doing clinical trials here in Aberdeen. So from the information that we reviewed, patients have all done very well with it. There have not been adverse effects from it. So we were really excited about that opportunity just to participate and be a part of the research. So our process really won't change. We'll still order it from the St. Paul Blood Bank, which is where we were going to order it from before. It's just prior, we would have logged into the Mayo Clinic research site and documented on our patients every day. That was the requirement. Once we give them the plasma, we would have to, well, first they would have had to meet the inclusion criteria. And then we would have documented every day on what their outcome was, you know, how their day went, just to watch for that. And so that will be not required anymore. So that was a little disappointing that we won't continue with the research study part of it. I don't quite understand how the FDA, you know, how those approvals work, if that stops your research, but I don't think there's any reservations about giving it based on what we reviewed from the studies that were going on prior.
Thanks a lot for that. Just another quick question on that is, as soon as it started getting politicized, I kind of tuned out of it because it's very unfortunate that happens. But what is this doing? Is this more of a therapeutic, or is this something that's going to prevent someone from getting it?
It's a therapeutic is
okay.
what it is. And so you would do it. So some of the inclusion criteria was to be hospitalized and to be on oxygen therapy. Well, to have a positive COVID, hospitalized and on oxygen therapy.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions in regards to what Nicole's talked about? You either put them in the chat or you can go ahead and unmute and ask. How are your guys' numbers here in Aberdeen, Nicole? I guess what are you guys still doing okay as far as space goes? Are you seeing the uptick of hospitalizations here as well? I guess I haven't looked at the Brown County numbers.
Yeah, you know, we seem to be doing okay. I know when I read the paper and watch the news, it always seems a little worse than it is when I'm here at work. So I try not to do that till I get home at night. We are doing a lot more testing, probably record-setting numbers of testing, but seems like everyone is, knock on wood, kind of doing okay with it.
Okay. So a little bit with some of the hospitalizations, are you seeing people who are doing, you maybe answered this a little bit with that last statement, are you seeing people doing better with controlling their symptoms and being able to stay home, or are you seeing sicker patients coming in? I know there was this thought that this may mutate at some point in time and make people sicker. Is it still kind of staying the same as it's been throughout the last 6 months, or are you seeing people able to handle it better, or is it still kind of the people with the underlying conditions that it targets for the worst symptoms, I guess?
You know, I really haven't seen much of a change just from the type of patients we're seeing and who's getting admitted in the hospital. It seems like it's kind of been consistent.
Okay.
Really since the beginning. You know, right away when this first started coming out, of course, I'm not sure we all knew what to do with it. And
right.
So it seemed to be kind of nerve-wracking, and we seemed to, you know, not have everything in place. But, you know, I would say since mid-June to July, things have kind of been routine here.
It's kind of your new normal. It's kind of your new normal. Yeah. I did see a question pop in on the chat. Question on the plasma therapy. Wondering what is the limitation to that? Is it something that would be widely available to everyone or anyone who needs it if it looks like it works as well as hoped, or is it something that's going to be difficult to supply?
From what I understood with our meetings as we were setting this up, is that it would not be difficult to supply. So when it was still in the research phase, it needed to be ordered by the provider. And then I was actually on the research, one of the people that was going to be a coordinator on the research team. We would have reviewed the chart, made sure they met all the inclusion criteria, and then go ahead and ordered it. And we would have had the plasma here within 24 hours, even though it comes from St. Paul. We don't anticipate that to change. The only difference it will still be ordered by the provider. We'll get the informed consent for them to continue, but they just won't have to necessarily meet that criteria. So I guess it will be easier to get because they won't have to meet that criteria, and we don't anticipate supply difficulties. Now, that being said, you know, we have seen those kind of creep up in other areas, things that, you know, you wouldn't think would be a supply difficulty, and all of a sudden one week you get a notification that it is, but we are not expecting that.
Okay, great. Any other questions for Nicole? On the chat or live questions, anybody? Did you have anything else for us, Nicole, or was that kind of where you were at? Okay.
That was everything I was gonna share with you.
Yeah.
So feel free to email me, or I believe you have my contact information.
Yep.
Phone call or email if anyone has any follow-up questions. I'm happy to help however I can.
Great. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us. Very much appreciated.
All right. Thanks, guys, for all you do.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Moving on. Michaela, are you ready to talk a little bit about Chase the Ace?
Yes. Let me get it all up. Okay. So, as Kyle kind of talked about, you can see my screen, correct?
Yep, we got it.
Perfect. Okay. So, as Kyle kind of talked about, we are doing the Chase the Ace fundraiser. And what our goal is through this fundraiser is to raise money for educational programming and scholarships for EMS providers and services in the Northeast region of South Dakota. This fundraiser kind of came about because there are some other communities who are doing this similar things with it, and the jackpot reaching 90,000, meaning the winner took home 45,000. So kind of how it plays, or how to play. Each week, participants buy tickets to be entered into the week's drawing. The drawings will be Fridays at 12:30, so kind of around lunchtime, and it'll be on Northeast South Dakota AHEC's Facebook page. In addition, the weekly winner gets a chance to choose an envelope that holds a playing card. Northeast AHEC will call them during the live stream, and then they can make their envelope choice. And then if no one answers, a card will be chosen on their behalf. If the Ace of Diamonds is in the card or in the envelope, the winner receives 50% of the jackpot, while the other 50% goes to the fundraising, the educational programming, and scholarships. If the Ace of Diamonds is not chosen, then the jackpot accumulates until the Ace of Diamonds is drawn. All winnings will be distributed with accordance to the rules and regulations of the IRS. And then also, this drawing is an official South Dakota registered raffle. So buying tickets is really easy, and this, let me see, I might have to do a different screen, but we have it so it's set up, so all you have to do is go online to our website, and it will show, let me switch screens quick. Buying tickets is just as easy as ordering online, which is pretty nice. Sorry about the So, once it loads. So as you can see, when you land on the Northeast AHEC page, website, you will see once it loads, there's a little ticker that shows up that has a link that gets you directly there, or you can click right here on this button that says Chase the Ace Fundraiser. So there's a ticker. Then once it takes you, or you can just go to nesdahac.org/ACE, and it'll take you to this page as well. And what you can do is it gives a little bit, and we will update how much the jackpot is every week right here. And then you can put buy Chase the Ace tickets now. And once this loads, it has, all you have to do is fill out your information, enter in your credit card or debit card number, and then you just put buy tickets now. You will get a confirmation email that your order processed, and then in 1 to 2 days, you will get an email saying that what your ticket numbers are, your ticket numbers are. Tickets are $5 a piece, and you have to continue every week. You'll buy a set of tickets for that week's drawing. Is there any questions?
I'm just going to add something in here quick, Michaela. Is, as you probably saw, is Northeast South Dakota AHEC has redone their webpage, and it's really user friendly. It's got some really good photos from when we had our EMS refresher, and it shows what we were doing, shows some of the stuff that we were doing in there. So get on this webpage, check it out. There's a lot of cool things on here. Like I said, it's really neat. Kind of shows what we're doing, what we're trying to do, and what Northeast South Dakota AHEC is doing to help in the communities. So strongly encourage you, if you're able to, is to purchase some tickets. This is how we're going to get the education out to all of you for free. This is also money that's going to be used to help put on our refresher. And the most important thing that Michaela alluded to was there's going to be some opportunities for some scholarships within our Northeast South Dakota, whether that be for a community who's maybe looking at an EMT class and short on funds, or a single person who is looking at an EMT or EMR class who is maybe having trouble coming up with the funds to get involved in that. I think it's going to be a great thing. And we have a few more things in the hopper that once we get those things ironed out, we're going to share them with you guys as well. And I think you're going to be really excited with kind of the direction that this partnership is going. So sorry, Michaela, I just kind of jumped in there.
Nope, you are fine. That's perfect.
So does anybody have any questions on this? Any questions on where these dollars are going and what they're being used for? I think Michaela kind of told you as well as I did, but this is how we're going to be able to keep costs low and put on a great refresher. This is how we're able to do this stuff for free. It's how we're going to be able to get some national speakers involved in our monthly calls and have no cost to you or your service, direct costs. So if you enjoy these, please think about purchasing some tickets. You have an opportunity to win some money. So I think it's a great fundraiser, a great opportunity for our group.
Yes, and kind of like what Kyle said, or kind of going off that, the more tickets that are sold or bought, the bigger the jackpot gets, and the longer it kind of goes on, the bigger you can just see it really snowball really big towards the end of it. So yeah.
Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns? The next refresher is going to be planned for February of 2021. And we aren't exactly sure what we're doing with it yet, if we're going to be in person or virtual or a mixture of both. I would say right now, the way things are standing, it's probably going to be a mixture of both. But stay tuned for that. We will be having a refresher, no doubt about it. It's just not exactly how it's going to quite play out yet. But that'll be first part of February of 2021.
Actually, Kyle, I think from our last meeting we had, the refresher will be February 19th through 21st.
Towards the end of February 2021. So mark your calendars, 19th through the 21st. Any other questions, comments, concerns on anything that we talked about tonight? Hearing none, hopefully you guys go on the AHEC webpage in the next few days. The first drawing is what, Michaela? September 4th?
Yes, yep. September 4th is the first drawing, and it'll be on Northeast South Dakota or Northeast SD AHEC's Facebook page, and it'll be live. And we're trying to do it over the lunch hour at 12:30. We'll see how the first drawing goes, and then we can adjust if it works better at a later time. But we're thinking lunch, perfect, easy, quick listen. So yeah.
Perfect. Tell your services, tell your communities, get the word out. We will probably talk about this again at our next call, next Zoom call, which, like I said, we're kind of hoping to get it going into September. Is kind of the plan, but it could be October, just kind of depending on how things shake out and so on and so forth. So if we,
Can I
go
ask
ahead.
a quick question, Kyle?
Sure.
This is Janet. Is there like some sort of a poster or something we can hang up in our communities?
Yep.
I don't get into town very often, so it would be easier for me to just hang something, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So the poster is actually, we have it on our Facebook page, but I can email it out to I can send it to Kyle and he can email it out to everyone as well too. So
That would be perfect. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
And also, I guess a side note, all the tickets it's all through online because it's a multi-community type of thing. And we know people don't necessarily come into town all the time. So all the tickets will be online.
As far as the meetings go, I'm thinking, I don't want to speak too far ahead here, but we're looking at Thursday nights, which that could be adjusted. And that's probably a really good thing to ask you guys as well who are on here, because we have a pretty good group of participants on here. I'm thinking Thursday. Thursdays seem to work good when we did our COVID calls. Anybody have any preferences? Just go ahead and email me. Or you can throw it in the chat now. I'm thinking that's the plan. It's probably the last week of the month or the last Thursday of the month is kind of what we're thinking, because the majority of everybody's ambulance meetings, from what we were gathering, are all more towards the first part of the months or the first 2 to 3 weeks. So that last week will be kind of the catch-all. If you happen to miss your ambulance meeting or you just want more education, you can just jump on our call, and it shouldn't interfere with, hopefully it shouldn't interfere with your meeting. Is kind of what we're thinking. So stay tuned. We will get that information out to you as quick as we can. You'll probably see some more emails on Chase the Ace, kind of getting it out there and getting everybody involved. And yeah, we're excited. We're excited for this venture as far as providing a monthly education with some fantastic speakers, local, regional, and national type speakers. And we're also excited for what our partnership is going to bring in the future. And hopefully in those first couple of meetings, we will maybe share with you some of the other things that we've got going behind the scenes. So yeah, we will definitely look at the day and make sure that it's something that works the best. So I definitely appreciate the feedback for those of you that are putting that in the chat box. I haven't really nailed it down yet, but we are definitely open to suggestions on that. Does everybody kind of agree on the last week, though? Is that probably pretty safe to do? Okay. All right. And there are some opportunities that we might be able to have it as a recording, and we'll kind of work through some of those things with the state to allow you to potentially get that education, even if you can't make the meeting night. That's something that I have to sit down with Lance. I'll probably not sit down with him, but talk to him on the phone because he lives in Rapid City. So we'll probably talk to him and see if there's the opportunity that we can use this as a recorded type thing, to where you could still get your hours some way, shape, or form. I don't know. We'll have to work through that one, but something that we're looking at. Look at that. There you go. In progress poll right there. Vote now. And this is something that we really want you guys to take to your services. Let everybody in your community who are our EMS providers know this, so we can pack the house. We've got, I think Michaela and Sandy have unlimited Zoom access. We could probably have the whole state in there. Actually, I think we can have every EMT in the state in there and be okay. So if you haven't voted yet, go ahead and click on what day you prefer. That's pretty cool. And we will take that info and we will work it into what we've got going. So anybody have any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, well, we got the majority of you voted. That's great. With that, I don't really have anything else. Michaela, Sandy, anybody?
Nope, I think we've covered everything.
Okay, well, just a quick thing. Say a prayer for our brother and sister responders down on the Gulf Coast. That storm is going to hit down there in the next few hours, and it looks to be a massive, ugly deal. So keep those folks in your thoughts as they work through the response and also the aftermath of it. So with that, we will call it a night. Thanks everybody for being on. It was a great crowd for short notice, and we will be in touch on the next time that we're going to meet. Have a good night.